Courtyard by Marriott presents CNBC-TV18 Disruptors.
Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18's Disruptors, and I'm your host, NITHYA BALAKRISHNAN. On this episode, we throw the spotlight onto a firm that revolutionized the Indian clothing industry. She's a designer so versatile that you can wear her to your next office party, to a sundowner with pals, to Diwali lunches and the Sarah dinners. And well, if it's your special day as either bride or groom, then her exclusive couture line is definitely a notch above the rest. Well, you've guessed right. Join me as we unravel the success story behind the house of Anita Dongre.
2 small sewing machines in a balcony and the help of a single master G or tailor. That's how 22-year-old Anita Dongre began her little business of making clothes in 1995. 4 years later, her passion for fabric, design and creating something new led her to open her first store under the label And in Mumbai's Crossroads Mall. From merely designing outfits for friends and family, she today caters to not just every other Indian household, but also boasts of a clientele that includes the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, Hillary Clinton, Queen Matilda of Belgium, Canada's First Lady, Sophie Trudeau, and even Beyoncé. The House of Anita Dongre currently employs close to 3,000 craftsmen and comprises of 4 labels, with a reach of over 50 Indian cities and international retail presence in Mauritius and New York City. Join us as we unravel the success story behind the House of Anita Dongre.
In conversation with Anita Dongre, a brand in herself, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC-TV18's Disruptors. What made you so confident of entering a market segment, Anita, that was so saturated and always has been saturated?
Really? You consider it saturated? And 30 years ago, for me, it was like this amazing new world that was opening out in front of me. I loved design and I loved creating beautiful designs. And I think India just welcomed me with such open arms, and the Indian woman reciprocated to all what I created so beautifully and with so much of love. And yeah, I just feel today there might be many more players in fashion, because the fashion industry has now come of age, and every second young girl today wants to be a fashion designer. Actually,
True.
We've never had so many internship requests as we've had in the last year. I think the HR just complaining that their inboxes are just getting full with internship requests. So everyone wants to enter the world of fashion, and there have been a lot of success stories. So in that sense, today you might say it's reached a saturation level, but I wouldn't consider that. I think everyone has their own space.
Fair point.
And I think everyone, if you have a very definitive viewpoint of what you're saying through fashion, I think you have your space. India is such a large country, and the Indian woman has just begun to understand fashion, has begun to understand brands, has begun to understand what each designer does, what's each designer's personal sense of style, that what she brings to the consumer. So everyone has a place of their own, and it was exciting and challenging. It is still exciting and challenging. I just think what I did when I started with 2 machines, there were challenges even then. It was a very small setup. I started with just like 2 or 3 people. Today it's 3,000 people directly employed and maybe another 30, 40,000 indirectly. The game has just become bigger, but I think it has its challenges and it has its exciting moments.
And for others out there, you're seeing so many young, aspiring, fashion designers, stylists, etc. But it's not a very easy field to actually make a mark in.
No, it's
what
not.
set you apart in that sense? Where, looking back, what do you think you brought to the table that actually let you catapult to this level of growth in a certain sense?
I think I design with empathy. I think a lot of my design comes from an understanding of what the woman wants to look at, is looking at for me, because design is so much emotion. Because when you design, there's emotion in it. Of course, there's craft and there's technique and there's there's a certain amount of science and there's a certain amount of numbers involved to it because there's costings and all that. But I still think it's still pure emotion.
And that's what drives you.
Yeah, and I think when a woman wears a design too, what drives her to buy it and what makes her come back to my brand and what makes her come back to me is emotion. It's about how she feels in that outfit, what it does for her. And I think that's the power of design that I like, because you wear the right garment and you suddenly feel great. So whether it's an someone coming to me to buying their first jacket or dress for their first interview and feeling empowered when they enter that interview room with the right clothing, it empowers you
completely.
To somebody who's a bride and who just feels the most beautiful on her wedding day, to somebody who wears global DESI and the emotions it evokes in her, free-spirited, colorful, bohemian, India. I think all the labels that I have evoke a certain different emotion in you, and I think I am a sum of all those emotions.
And I think that's what
I bring
the
to the table.
consumer absolutely collects with, right? And before I actually delve into the journey that led to these 4 legs of sort at the house of Anita Dongre, let me dial back. You mentioned that, close to 30 years ago, with just 2 machines. Talk to us about the starting story, really. How did you start off? Where did you start up? Was it a store? Was it just a team? And, how
it was very simple. I think it was the same hunger I had 30 years ago that drove me to fighting with my parents and saying that I need space, and, here is the balcony of my bedroom and I'm going to set up 2 sewing machines, and one master chi came over.
Oh, nice.
That same hunger to just create what's in your head. It's that same hunger I had in college because, we designed our own clothes and made them for the college assignments, for our college fashion shows. That excitement of dreaming of a design and then executing it and then making it into making a person wear it. It's that same hunger when I had the 2 machines and I created my first collection and showed it to friends and, a few local stores, to what I do today. It's the same thing.
And it started off in Bombay. And where did you mushroom after that? How did people hear of And And was the first of the 4 to actually be set up,
So we started And in Bombay, and touch wood, God bless, everything's always been word of mouth.
Oh, wow.
I think your consumers sometimes are your best brand ambassadors.
Undoubtedly.
They wear you, they like you, they walk somewhere, somebody sees it and says, hey, where is this from? You get 5 more customers.
Oh, nice.
She will sit with 5 friends and say, So I think it's word of mouth.
And that's how it actually started.
And I think that's the way a business grows organically. It's always through your consumer base loving you and they spreading the word out there.
Anita, one interesting thing in this industry is people believe that they have to only cater to a certain segment, a certain class. Here you have, almost 4 different lines, and you cater to somebody who is mass, who's also looking for young, trendy, stylish clothes. At the same time, your couture line is so exclusive and you have so many celebrities wearing you. What gave you the kind of courage to say, I want to be here, but I also want to be there? And what made that a success? Was it always a conscious kind of way of thought?
I started with Pret, ready to wear, and I always wanted to create designs that were more affordable for everybody. And there was a very day wear kind of clothing, and that's a different space. And that space requires you to be priced a bit sensitively. And obviously if somebody's coming in and buying an everyday dress from you or an everyday jacket to wear to work, that's her budget on it. And while someone's coming to a wedding, that's a different budget. So I think all what I do is at different stages in a woman's life. Again, when you're in your 20s, maybe you don't want to spend that much on your wardrobe, but when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s, you want to invest in more classic pieces. So I think the journey has also been my journey from the 20s to the 30s to the 40s. And now that I'm in my 50s, it's finally I'm realizing that, all that I really want to do is just great quality, classic, timeless pieces. And you can see some of that coming into all the brands now. I think all the brands today are a combination of classic and great quality at that price of what you're looking for. And a little bit of fashion to it, but they're not really, I wouldn't call any of my brands fast fashion because they're quite timeless in that sense.
What drives your designs? What, fuels that passion really at the house of Anita Dongre?
I think it's such an interesting profession because you get to come in every day and do something new. I think very few professions have that. It's creativity combined by let's do something new today, let's be better than yesterday, let's make a better design today, a new color, a new pattern, a new embroidery design. It's just the newness and the excitement of it. Yeah, it's fun.
And do you think the list is never ending? Can you ever reach a stage when you can look at it and say, oh my God, that's probably my best work. How can I outdo this even?
Oh, that feeling lasts only for 5 minutes.
Really?
I look at something for 5 minutes and say, I can't outdo it, but then immediately the next day I'm like, we can do better than this. This was great, but now what next?
What
So
next?
that drives you.
Fantastic. Now, you did mention you started off with And, but then slowly talk to me about the journey and what came in where and how you grew the line really at
So
your
I
house.
started and then 8 or 10 years later, I mean, I just actually always had Global DESI. Global DESI was kind of a part of And. I used to do a lot of these, I am from Jaipur, so I used to frequently go to Jaipur, and I was frequently doing a lot of block printed and fun, bright, you know, Jaipur is all about color. So I was doing all these colorful, kind of very cool bohemian clothes, and they used to sit in the And store. And I used to always walk into the And store and I used to feel aesthetically, here I'm doing this very modern, crisp, you know, line, which I love doing, and then I love doing this. And at some point of time, I wanted to also do a lot of Indian, you know, kind of India-inspired prints, and the And stores were small, and what I wanted to do was larger. So I just decided to hive it off as a separate brand.
Nice.
So Global DESI is really an offshoot that came from And.
All right. And after Global DESI, you decided...
And after Global DESI, I did Anita Dongre Bridal. And then, of course, I started working towards grassroots and sustainability, but that's something that extends pretty much to all my brands today. So grassroots for me is more an initiative, more for me as a reminder that I need to work with crafts in India, that I need to look at sustainability. We run a lot of women empowerment programs through the Anita Dongre Foundation.
Sure.
So I think grassroots is kind of like an initiative and a movement that's running across all my brands now. For example, all the women empowerment self-help groups we've created in 5 villages, and we hope to do 30. Global DESI gets manufactured there. Then of course, in pure, you know, in the Anita Dongre line, I'm constantly working with Seva, I'm constantly working with a lot of weavers, constantly working with a lot of crafts. And then even in And, we are also looking at sustainability, you know, which are the mills we are buying fabric from. We have a sustainability officer who's joined the company in 6 months ago. And we are all working towards how do we just, as House of Anita Dongre, become a more sustainable fashion house.
Interesting.
So we're looking into everything, why we buy a particular fabric, how can we replace it with a more sustainable fabric. We're tying up with a lot of, we're tying up with Lensing, which is one of the world's largest sustainable companies, and you know, working with their textiles now.
Interesting.
So that's an interesting, I mean, that's something that's inevitable. We had to do this.
Yeah, and you've evolved, constantly evolved and
Yes.
innovated with time to be
Yes.
actually catering to that young Indian. If I can ask you then, looking back, would you have a favorite baby? I know it's hard to pick, but would you say, yeah, this is my favorite line amongst the 4?
Among the 3, it's really 3 labels. I also do jewelry, Pink City under Anita Dongre. It's fine
Yes.
jewelry that I do. I do silver jewelry, I do fine jewelry. Not really. I mean, I enjoy
Everything, so it's very
everything,
hard to...
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy couture the most, let's be honest, because it allows you to design without any restrictions, without any pricing constraints. So I think my true love is today doing
The bridal
more,
couture.
yeah, you know, and I still want to do more in that, and I still want to create, still want to design just beautiful clothes where I'm not restrained with cost. I just want to express myself with whatever I have in my mind and just create luxurious. So the luxury side of the fashion is what I'm focusing on now,
currently.
because that I'm finding very enjoyable.
Would it be fair to say then that your karigars and, you know, employees, the workforce really is the backbone of the brand? And talk to me about really the
Absolutely.
growth there. You said 3,000 odd employees
Yeah.
currently.
Today,
So-
as a designer, you're nothing. I mean, I'm only what I am because of everybody here. There are hundreds of hands who bring your designs to life. Hundreds of hands. Sometimes in one garment, there are so many people involved at every stage. I can just think of the design, but these are my team players who execute what I think of.
And you've actually gotten involved in providing employment opportunities, enriching their livelihood in villages. Talk to us really about your involvement with not just Seva, but how you've actually looked at empowering them and not just employing them.
I really feel very strongly that today Indian industries need to take work back to the villages of India. I think the villages, if they are provided employment within their space, they become sustainable. It avoids migration to cities to look for work. a village life is a beautiful life to live. It's simple, it's beautiful, your needs are less over there, you live in a better environment. And whether you're a craft person living in a village or whether you're an unskilled woman, where we've now gone in and started skilling women in villages who have no skill, I think just empowering these women who've never ever had a means of economic income, just making them economically independent and seeing how this transforms not only their lives but the lives of their children, changes their whole equation with their husbands, changes the way the village views them because now they're economically empowered. So I think whether it's in a city when I see what economic empowerment does to a woman, or whether it's in a village, that is something I find, I find happiness in that.
That's wonderful to hear. And
when I can use design to economically empower women, I just find that very fulfilling.
Fantastic. But it's not just in India anymore. You are stepping overseas. Talk to us really about expanding the brand in that sense.
So we had one store in Mauritius all these years, and then we decided to open a store in New York. And we just opened the store 6 months ago in May.
How's the reception
And it's been wonderful. It's interesting. It's New York. One is learning. One is working hard, and because it's the company's never had a store that far away in a different time zone. But it's interesting and it's challenging and it's great, and I'm glad we took that step.
We're still in conversation with Anita Dongre, and we're literally in the fabric room in the heart of your Ballet facility, Anita. So talk to us really about the kind of colors, cloths, fabrics that you like working with, and where really are you sourcing all of this from?
Well, this is my favorite place in the office. I love coming here. We source our fabrics from all over the country, everywhere, every state, every region. My team and me are always on the lookout for interesting fabrics. We love working with block prints, weaves, new techniques, you name it, it's here.
And how many manufacturing facilities are all of the lines and the fabrics at Anita Dongre, all the designs, are they made in India? Because that's something we're very big
it's all made in India. Everything is made in India with pride, I would say. And now hopefully made in Indian villages, I would say, because we have 5 units and I want to take that to 30. So yes, it's all here.
And if I can ask you, really, it's not just exclusive stores, right? You have AND stores, you have Global DESI stores, you have your bridal stores, but also you can walk into a multi-brand retail store and there are your, lines. So was that again a conscious decision of reaching out to players across the board?
When we started the brand, I started with one store, which is at that Crossroads Mall, but then there were a lot of established multi-brand outlets already established, like Shoppers Stop and West Side and Pantaloon, and Central of course came later.
True.
Lifestyle, and they all approached me and they wanted me to do lines for them, and that's how it started. So it's a healthy mix we have. We are partners with multi-brand outlets, and then we also have our own stores.
And how does it work? In your partnerships, are there some lines that you create exclusively for those partners?
Yes, there are certain lines that we would create exclusively for them, and there are certain lines we create exclusively for our stores, and then there are certain that go across everywhere.
And Anita, what about the online space now? Because a lot of consumers are migrating online. Would you think that is a platform that's in traction at your end?
But of course, we have an entire digital team, and they're all young and full of, wanting to take the digital business higher. And all the 3 brands have their websites. There's a website for Anita Dongre, there's another website for AND, there's another for Global DESI. All are seeing good, healthy growth year after year. And today I think digital and brick and mortar has to coexist together.
Fantastic, because that's pretty much the way forward, right?
Yes.
Even in this industry.
Yes.
But does look and feel still matter? Would you say that as a designer?
I love the experience of physically shopping on a store. Though I might go digitally and check something out, But I would still love to go to the store and touch and feel, and I know the digital business is growing, but sometimes especially when I do grassroots, where the feel of the textile is so important, and when I do bridal wear, where you can come up close and see my workmanship, then I always would want people, at least for my luxury couture line, to come into the store and experience that whole experience of shopping in an Anita Dongre bridal store.
You did mention, fine jewelry.
Yes.
What inspired you to step into that, and how recent was that really?
Quite recently, about 4 years ago. So when I did my bridal line and I, used to style my bridal shoots, I used to always feel the lack of beautiful Jarrah jewelry from Jaipur. I am from Jaipur. I've grown up wearing that jewelry. My grandmothers, my aunts, they all owned beautiful pieces. And I think it was just a natural progression from bridal to go into jewelry, so that the whole look is complete. And I really, really enjoy doing the jewelry. It's luxurious, it's fine jewelry. I work with the best stones, and it's very, very exciting to see that design again come alive.
Earlier in the conversation, you did mention that it was all word of mouth. But today, do you think advertising, marketing, etc., plays a big role for you?
Yeah, so that's what I'm learning. That's like a big learning curve for me. I've realized today, in this crazy world of fashion and brands, marketing plays such an important role. So I would now call myself a student of marketing.
Nice. And that's something that you're actively involved in nowadays?
Yes, very much so. Like, I've always styled all my shoots, and I've always been I've been one of the few Indian designers who presented her collections beautifully with stylized shoots, and really set the trend for everyone else to do that. I still continue doing that, and I think my pictures play a great role in marketing my product, and I've always done that for all the brands.
Yeah, and now
I enjoy shoots, and I enjoy presenting the collection with shoots and shows. So I continue doing that, but now one is learning about digital marketing, one is learning about other marketing inputs that, that the industry has changed, and the way you market has also changed. And I think it's very important to keep ahead of what's happening, and that's a learning, and I don't think you ever stop learning. So in my business, whatever I come in and I do every day, even to create and design, I'm learning something new every day. And in marketing, oh my God, there's so much to learn.
If I can look back and just quickly ask you a couple of milestones in that momentous journey that the House of Anita Dongre has been?
I think one biggest milestone is when I moved here. We moved here, I don't know, is it 2 years, 3 years now? 3 years? It was my dream to work from a place like that. It was my dream to work from a place that's beautiful, that's spacious, that's well lit, airy, and this is a sustainable building. We recycle our water, we compost, we grow vegetables on the terrace, we adopted stray dogs. So we have the hills right here, which you must see the hills. They are beautiful. So to just work from a utopian place like this was a dream I had ever since I started out, from that balcony with two machines.
Great. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Anita Dongre. Be sure to catch the entire episode on CNBC-TV18.com. You can also watch it across our social and digital platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest. From all of us that put the entire show together, goodbye, thanks for watching, and do tune in to CNBC TV18 again next week for yet another Disruptor. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.
Courtyard by Marriott presents CNBC TV18 Disruptors.